Welcome to the Last Mile Profits videocast, the last word on the last mile.
Modern Expo provides an integral ecosystem of screen-operated lockers, screenless autonomous solutions, refrigerated lockers, and even personal parcel lockers, powered by in-house developed software. Hello everyone. This week is really quite exciting. A, because we've got some great news. B, because we've got a new co-host. Gary Winter, known Gary for a long, long time. And I think he's going to add a lot of insight. And because he speaks his mind, I think the discussions will be really quite interesting. So welcome, Gary. Maybe you just want to say a couple of words about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm really, really excited about this, Marek. I'm very happy to join you on Last Mile Profits. I've been in the industry for sort of 20, 25 years now, in and around e-commerce parcels for as long as there's been e-commerce parcels, I guess. I've worked for a couple of carriers and I've worked for a couple of suppliers. And hopefully my combined experience with yours will make for some interesting conversations.
Well, listen, let's start perhaps with the first one. So today we've got a really good one, I believe, which is the InPosts Menzies story. This is a big deal. It's seen a lot of interest online. So, let's have a little chat. I mean, what's your feeling? Does it signal some kind of change of strategy? What do you reckon?
I think it depends on where you look at it. I think from within the UK, it's bringing the strategy into line where InPosts have been successful in other markets. They are a carrier with lockers in Poland. That's been their strength. That's where they make their money. In France, they bought a carrier to become a carrier with lockers as well. So I think this is a step in the UK towards harmonising the approach in the markets where they're active.
The only thing that really is very difficult, and I know that there are a lot of rumours about the relationship between Hermes, or Every I should now call it, and InPost. But the logical thing obviously would have been for those two companies to get together. This is something that I'd been saying for a long, long time. I reckon actually the not so well kept secret probably has come out now, because I can't see any other logical reason why we would have Every doing their own thing and InPost making this acquisition.
It is curious. I mean, and definitely we see evidence of InPost going to end-to-end customers and offering them an end-to-end service. So instead of being, as when they announced the deal with Hermes as it was, or Every back at the MetaPack conference, must be 4 years ago, I can't remember. It was going to be, InPost are going to be the sole provider of lockers to Hermes, and Hermes are going to only use InPost lockers. That was the announcement. I think it upset a few of the other carriers at the time because they'd done deals with InPost and were looking to integrate and go live. I know one carrier, for example, had definitely committed all their IT resource for several months to going live with them. And then there was this about change, and they were going to be solus with Hermes. So you would have thought that relationship would have got closer and closer and closer, and clearly it hasn't. I think this move was started a while back. CitySprint were doing the pick up and drop off at the InPost lockers on behalf of InPost. That relationship has gone away now, particularly with DPD taking CitySprint out of the market and buying them themselves. So they've switched over to Menzies. So it's a continuation, I think. One thing I'm curious about is Menzies are part of a duopoly in the UK of newspaper delivery with Smiths Group. Smiths Group, who founded Pass My Parcel. They're very, very strong in the north. Smiths were very, very strong in the south. How good will the national coverage be with Menzies that are really a sort of slightly polarised player, if you like?
I think the only thing that I'd say is, from the perspective of lockers, the sort of distribution that a company like Menzies would have because of the history, the newspaper history, is pretty good. It's a little bit different because, and I know we had a discussion once about this, that, with newspapers, you can just basically dump them pretty much anywhere. You can't really do that with parcels. But I think it's got a lot to go for it. The question, of course, you're right, is what's going to happen in the territory where Menzies are perhaps not as strong. But, I think, let's see, time will tell. They've certainly got the ability to develop that. But what I think is really interesting is, what does this mean? And this is perhaps for another LMP video. What does it mean about Advent and Advent's plans? Because in a way, they've got these two businesses where they have significant stakes. I would say, in fact, probably controlling stakes. Certainly on Every in the UK, not internationally, but they've got a big stake internationally in Hermes. But they brought in a new investor into InPosts. So does this mean that actually they're going to start moving further towards Hermes? Does it mean that, no, they've just got a new investor and they're going to make InPost bigger and maintain it? I think this is a subject perhaps for another call, but or another video cast, but it's pretty interesting, no?
It's definitely interesting. I think Advent do own a controlling stake in Every in the UK, so they are deeply and heavily invested in them. And I think I'm not absolutely certain of what their stake in InPost is anymore. It's something that you've followed more closely than me. I mean, where I'm more interested is the synergies. I think if we look at this in a positive way, the synergies between Menzies delivery to convenience stores with newspapers and magazines is absolutely right there with delivering into lockers that are placed in retail locations. So I think there's sound logic in the move. From an operational point of view, but where it takes them in sort of corporate strategy, I guess I'm a little bit less clear.
Well, let's discuss a little bit about the strategic side, because I agree. I also think that if InPosts were to decide to do more on PUDOs, that would be quite supportive, because these guys deliver to those sort of points. And as you know, Gary, I'm a big fan of PUDOs supporting lockers and vice versa. But let's think about does this give them guaranteed success? Because some of the sort of the questions I get, in fact, not some of, most of the questions I get on InPost is, okay, Poland's a clear success story. France is looking good now, but what's going to happen in the UK? So do you think this is enough to actually say, right, they've made it, or is it still, a long way to go?
Well, I think it's a step in the right direction. It'll be interesting to see if you see Menzies trucks backed up to, the ASOS, Boohoo, John Lewis warehouses, whether they start to, morph Menzies from a sort of, specialist logistics player in one market into an end-to-end parcel carrier. The UK parcel market is already quite crowded with carriers. Other markets are far more consolidated, or, if you look at, Deutsche Post hold in Germany, or Carreras in Spain, or even the La Poste Group's hold in France, far more polarized towards one player. It's very fragmented in the UK. How much room is there for more and more people selling end-to-end services? If I was, the shipping logistics manager for a big e-com brand, I've got a myriad of choice. I mean, I've got the big players. I've got Every, Royal Mail, everybody else. I've got Amazon Logistics, and now potentially I've got somebody knocking on the door with an InPost badge on, saying, "Do you want Menzies to come and collect your parcels and take them straight through to lockers?" How many splits can they do operationally? How many segmentations of the outbound flow are there to satisfy all these different requirements? So it's not simple.
As you know, I'm a big fan of open networks, and I think that could be one of the solutions, where it's an infrastructure play. Because if you look at it in the UK, you've got Amazon who do their own thing, and although theoretically they're opening up their capabilities a bit, Amazon is quite specific, and not everyone perhaps would want to go that way. I think it's a moment that it's worth also saying that there are other big players. Quadient is doing quite a lot in this space, creating an open capability in the UK. So, let's see how it goes. My bet, as you know, would always be with the open network. So, let's see if they're able to break through with what is effectively another closed network.
Exactly. And I think the fact that Quadient have managed to sign, 4 huge carriers already, I can tell you now 3 of them are live, 4th one going live soon, hopefully. So there, lots of the players are looking for a locker solution. They have gravitated, almost en masse to the Quadient offer. If I can be biased for a brief moment, but you can't ignore the fact that InPost have got there quicker. They've got the network, they've got thousands of lockers on the ground in some really good locations, and it's just a matter of, if they pursue this, carrier and locker approach, then their task now shifts from securing sites to securing volume, of taking that offer into the logistics managers and shipping managers in the big brands and persuading them. And there is some risk with that, moving away from those very established incumbents to moving to a new service. And that's probably their next sales task, I would guess.
Well, I think actually this is probably a really good point at which we can end. I think it's a really, really cool discussion. Let's see where it takes us. Most people, I think, would say that in the current environment, it's probably a smart tactical move, because there wasn't much else they could do to maintain distribution. But let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, it'd be fascinating to watch. You're absolutely right.
Gary, really great talking. I think we're going to have some great discussions on the last mile profits. So thanks very much. And thank you everyone for listening. Most important, your comments below. Thanks for watching this Last Mile Profits video. For more up-to-date last mile news and analysis, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on LinkedIn.